The Never-Ending Showdown.
Skin that smoke wagon.
Okay.
Three,
Okay.
2, 1.
Wow, wow, wow.
Wah, wah, wah,
I can't
wah.
do it. Wow, wow,
You totally ruined that take. Howdy, hombres. This is the Neverending Showdown, a podcast where casual nerds ride or die for pop culture. I'm Tony, this is Bennett, and this is Misty, and we duel at audio high noon for what matters most. Like which songs you can unironically sing around a real campfire and still be a real badass. And other fun stuff like that. And shucks, if you're lucky, we might even drop this stupid Wild West gimmick. Hombres, get caught in this crossfire at Show Neverending on Twitter, email neverendingshowdown@gmail.com, or leave a message at Anchor. Now, I want to start off by talking about why we do this. Why this podcast and why Bill Murray. First of all, Bill Murray is my goddamn hero. But before I get into that, this podcast is not just an excuse to hang out with my friends. It's an excuse to hang out with all of us. It's a call to arms for nerds of all types out there, and this means you. Through this ridiculous year of our Lord, 2020, it's been easy for me to lose track of what matters most in life, and if you're like me, that's a problem. As we all know, this year sucks. The world is off balance, a pandemic, police violence, the environment, identity, politics, stock markets. It's always been like this, but now it just seems so much more clear. I have to say, we need true grit to get through this nonsense. This podcast is sort of a game, so this is a word of caution. Most games make us have to be a victim or a champion. We have to pick Paragon or Renegade. The Neverending Showdown is indeed a game, but we always want it to be about our genuine fascinations and obsessions. We've all heard the saying that it's not whether you win or lose, but how you play it. Life isn't hard as long as you have the right mindset. Now, having the right mindset is the hard part. This is where true grit comes in. Read the novel. It's very good. Now let me check my privilege here and get back to the point. Because it's easy for me to talk about true grit as an Anglo male in America. My point is it's too easy for us to play games and not really give a shit about anything. Some art, movies, music, whatever, has true grit and gives us something to believe in. And the beauty is at the end of the day, we're in charge of it. It's because of us, the fans, the community, the diehards, that things are created and shared and enjoyed. And let's go back to that beginner's mind, the easy mode, where things still amaze us and make us fall in love or rise into action. I've thought a lot about this, and I think modern society is the shadow we cast from the glow of our phones. There are entire systems of identity and profit, such as this podcast, hopefully, born of our genuine needs and interests. Real needs and real interests. But those systems are all make-believe. They're all games. And before I get lost in the analogy, the point is that games are fine, they just come too easy. I think we all have to be more genuine, because we'd rather play games than actually ride or die for what matters most to us. So I need to break out of games like a baby velociraptor out of its shell in Jurassic Park. Let's try not to get lost playing around and confuse ourselves with rhetoric. Let's remember that we can still make a difference in 2020, that there are real things at stake. What we say matters, what we think matters. Don't forget that. The BioShock creator said, "We all make choices, but in the end, our choices make us." Now, all good games, all good art and pieces of expression, they're all rooted somehow in a bedrock of truth. Truth being the infinity of our human experiences. And that's exactly what this show is about. The Neverending Showdown is a reckoning to reignite old passions, spark new ones, and nerd out about what really matters to us, commercial or not. This is not a critical exercise or technical review, but rather a simple appreciation of the shit we like. Bill Murray is one of my many, many seeing stones that I've collected in my biochem engine of a brain for respecting and channeling the raw power of truth. His work has true grit. It still matters to have a force like him out there, especially from that Anglo male privilege that I mentioned earlier. Well, at least I think it matters. And sometimes, What we think matters is what matters. Now, it's better to travel than to arrive. Okay, this is like Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. That's what a good Bill Murray performance is to me. It's about the journey. He's not the best actor, he hasn't been in the best movies, but time and time again, I find myself totally buying into his characters, going all in on it. Maybe it's his comedic background or just because I grew up watching everything he did, but his standout roles force me to travel with him, like a woolly willy with a magnetic pen. I don't always know where he's going, and I guess I don't care. I just want to see him travel through scene by scene trying to figure it out. Now his birthday is coming up. It's September 21st. He'll be 69 years old. Before waiting until he dies, I want to celebrate his career right now because I ride or die for Bill Murray. If he means anything to you too, I know that you'll know exactly what I mean. On Rotten Tomatoes, his highest rated films are pretty close to, our opinions, but I think we need to talk about it. We need a showdown. Now let's get in it, Misty and Bennett, and see what makes him so damn relatable. Let's lift up Infinity's skirt and take a little peek. Now, after all that talk about games, this is one where we champion Bill Murray. We crown his best roles and performances. So let's gaze upon the many faces of Mr. Murray and his tiny acne scars, because it matters, God damn it.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Anything else we should talk about before we jump in?
Just a quick logistic thing.
I'm choking.
So like, are we? Well, don't choke.
I'm choking up on coffee.
Apodaca, slap her back.
Misty, get over a chair.
I got COVID.
Hey, you know where that saying "over a barrel" comes from? They got me over a barrel.
Yeah,
No.
Bennett knows.
it's based on the scene from Pulp Fiction, right?
Yeah. So when people a long time ago would go swimming or something, I don't know. I assume they swim like in their full boots and wigs or whatever.
Pantaloons.
Yeah. When you go swimming in pantaloons, they would of course sink to the very bottom. But so it was before the CPR was there or whatever a lifeguard would do. No. Like I'm saying, when you're swimming, it was a lifeguard thing.
Yeah.
And then they'd have these barrels that they'd put you over when you were all drowning and shit. And it would like make water come out of your lungs and they'd roll you back and forth on the barrel.
What?
Yeah, but now the rumor is that they would have smoke that they would blow up your ass.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. So it's controversial. It's like, they got me over a barrel come first, or they're blowing smoke up my ass come first? And it would be tobacco smoke. And apparently all of that rush of stimulation would like make you want to live again.
Are we talking about like playing the trumpet or just like casually from a distance blowing smoke?
I think it was a hose with one of them like accordion.
Oh man.
What?
Make you shit your pants, I think.
Wait a minute. I was gonna say, they say if you do that with alcohol, you get really drunk. So if you do that with smoke, will it get you really nicotine?
Yeah. It's like you turn into the guys from Cypress Hill. So to recap, the top 4 movies on Rotten Tomatoes are Ghostbusters, Groundhog Day, Lost in Translation, and The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book being kind of like the interesting one there. But to give a quick recap, I don't really disagree with any of those, maybe besides Jungle Book. I'd like to see Ghostbusters kind of entered into that canon of Bill Murray performances. I'd like to add Scrooged. That I have my thoughts on. I'll say a little bit more here in a bit. It's very close to Groundhog Day, in my opinion. I'd like to enter Life Aquatic. I love that movie. I think it's an awesome performance, and I want to talk that out a little bit more. And then basically double down on Lost in Translation. Bennett, what are your picks?
My picks are Caddyshack, Kingpin, Rushmore, and wouldn't you know it, Lost in Translation.
Bennett, give me your 2 cents about it.
All right. Well, I can't say this would have been my answer, 1, 2, 5, 10 years ago, even when it first came out. But what I think I find so interesting about it now, I mean, beyond it just being a very, very well done and acted movie, is well, I had this teacher once who told me he read the same poem every year on his birthday, and every year it meant something different to him as he got older. And I feel like that's the exact same thing that any good movie, but Lost in Translation also does. It's like I think when you're younger, maybe, even maybe you are a teenager, maybe you are newly married, and maybe you relate a little bit more to the Scarlett Johansson character. But maybe you get older, you have kids, etc., or even you pass middle age, and maybe you start to relate more to Bill Murray. And like a good song, like a good poem, I feel like that's what the movie does. It just hits you different every time you watch it.
All right. So, how many times have you watched this movie?
Rough guesstimate, but I would say I've probably seen it at least 6 or 8.
Misty,
Yeah.
you've seen this movie. You've seen it once or twice. How many times do you think you've watched it?
It's hard to say. I think I've watched it maybe 4 times, but I can really relate to what Bennett just said. I was thinking the same, watching this movie again just recently. I was thinking, wow, the last time I saw this movie was probably, maybe over 10 years ago. And it's right on, it's right on along those lines. I remember relating to Scarlett Johansson because I was around that same age when I was watching that.
I thought you were going to say when you moved to Japan. Okay,
no.
so could I add a little bit to that? Let me talk. Let me talk now. I don't want to hear any more about you moving to Japan. No, I feel like the movie, like you're saying, Ben, it's exactly right. It hits you at different levels depending on what age you are when you watch it, what mindset you are. For me, it's like what level of drunk am I when I watch it?
Oh yeah.
But like, can we all agree that I think that's the best movie on the list?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, that this is just like I guess just the most well-made out of the set. I think it's the most cohesive movie, and I guess Coppola's, work on it being an indie film and not knowing if Bill Murray was going to be involved until like after, production it kind of began. It's just such a gamble and like an honest take. It's a really good try at bringing to life, I think, a pretty solid concept of that. I don't know, forbidden relationships, not the right way, but kind of that, I don't know.
I think it's very innocent.
Yeah.
I think they were skating that thin line there, and they both knew it. Movie.
Well, yes, but it stayed on the side by the end of it, I think is the point more than anything.
Yeah, okay. So I think I had said this to you each before, but if I could meet Coppola and have like time, like let's just say I'm there smoking a cigar, I have nothing else to do, I would go over and thank her for that ending.
Yeah.
It's something I've obsessed over personally. It leaves you in just the right state of mind. And I think Bill Murray in later interviews had said, it's between lovers, let's just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's his take on it, though. I think everybody has their own opinion about that.
I think so too. I kind of want to hear that feedback. So, like, from that listener point of view, I think we'll put up a poll. It'll say, like, what do you think Bill Murray said?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk more about Bill Murray's performance, though, because I think let's say
Yeah.
that movie is the best. We all love it, but this is more about why that's the best Bill Murray, too.
Okay.
All right, Bennett, what do you think?
Okay. I had to trim it down a bit. I originally meant to touch on this more thoroughly, but I think Bill Murray, just in general, he plays a very good everyman. Like not in the same way like a Tom Hanks does, but still nonetheless an everyman. And but in Lost in Translation, it's very strange because the character was famous. Like his life is kind of in a descent, you know, and like you know his marriage seems to be kind of on the rocks. So it's like the way he's an everyman in this movie is just a very mundane frustration with existence. And I think he portrays that so well. Like you know, a very good scene is Scarlett Johansson ask him about kids, and he clearly gets happier. You know, he talks with joy in his voice, and then she asks about marriage, and he just lets out this sigh, like, marriage is always hard, but it's just such a very honest, truthful moment, and I think he's like that through the whole movie, even the you know the more sarcastic moments.
Yeah, well, I just had a flash of Bill Murray playing Forrest Gump.
I would watch that.
Yeah, so when you say he's Tom Hanks, I'm like, is like Wilson, you know, in the ocean floating away from him?
That wasn't. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. Never mind.
That was not Forrest Gump.
That
would
not
be
Forrest
amazing.
Gump.
Oh,
That
we
was
gotta put Forrest
Castaway.
Gump on an island. All right.
He named the volleyball Jenny.
So okay, yeah, Bill Murray on an island is all I want to see now. Okay, sorry. To go back to be on point. It's interesting. If I don't know if you guys like looked up Scarlett Johansson interviews or anything, but like she had a kind of a different thought about the movie. I think like she was so young, it was so early in her career, and obviously everybody loved Bill or something, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like how much of that is ad-libbed, how much of it is scripted, and it sounds like some of the dramatic stuff was really scripted out. But I gotta say that you know, when he goes back to that let's talk about the beauty of my kids moment, I thought that was so cool. And he said in an interview that a lot of affair stories or forbidden loves are usually like born out of like frustration, you know, but the movie ain't called Lost in Frustration. It's called Lost in Translation. But just to get back to that whole, like, it's not that he was so ready to leave. He was running in the rain, you know, out, you know, whatever, chasing a subway car or whatever. And I was like, no, he's content in life and has a lot of beautiful things to say about his family. And that shows you that conflict. And I think maybe only Bill Murray being that everyman plus he's super famous in this role and he's kind of famous in real life. He just fit in that nuance so well. Like I just believed it 100%.
Yeah.
Same.
All right. Well, if we go back to maybe what makes that performance the tour de force of Bill Murray is that he runs on like an elliptical trainer or something. It's going like really fast and he screams for help. He's got a lot of moments. Like that was really slapstick. Of course, like that whole part, I think it's like in the beginning, he's talking with the director and it's, you know, really to the point of being lost in translation. and this
Right.
director of the whiskey commercials giving him all these points, and he's got such a comical response to that too. I think that hits to the core of my approach to making this like the movie you need to watch, is that Bill Murray's the comedic side. He's that dramatic side in this movie, right? He also has this like this villainous side to him that we can talk about in our other picks. And I feel like that creeps in a little bit with maybe just like how dismissive he is. Like at some point he comes out of the elevator and he doesn't want to meet with all of his entourage. So he like purposefully, gets down and sneaks out in a way. And it's just that like mischievous part that I feel like, okay, I'm hitting like kind of all three. The only thing that I'm really missing is him acting like a country bumpkin. But maybe that's kind of in there when he like takes his shirt and flips it inside out because he wore, yellow camouflage.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like to me, maybe that's translated because I know that's kind of the Caddyshack part of it.
All right, Caddyshack is arguably the exact opposite of Lost in Translation. It's one of Bill Murray's most cartoonish and exaggerated characters. Very, very cartoony. And I don't know what else can I say. It's purely comedic. Like he's just it definitely goes back to maybe that yokel you were referring to earlier. And I really think I wanted that. That's why it's one of my favorites and why I wanted it on here. Just because it's so out there. It's so much a character that really barely even relates to an actual human. But that's what makes it so great. It's just cartoony and ridiculous and, kind of lovable in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I think it helps to have Caddyshack as like a fabric or something that his role can live on, because that movie is such a comedy classic. Now, so having rewatched it recently, I'll say that the movie definitely doesn't hold up and feels really dated. But his performance, I mean, he still has a lot of zingers that I think only Bill Murray could deliver, which was, he on your deathbed, you attain total enlightenment, and, and that's, at least we have that going for us. That kind of stuff, I just feel like, wow, it still is awesome. He looks so young. It's crazy. So this is way early, in his career. And I think it just like together with the Saturday Night Live crew, it's a fun performance. I wouldn't say that it makes Caddyshack a good movie or anything, but again, this is not what that's about. It's just more the purity of that role, and like you said, he's just relatable. So in that kind of just pure comedy thing, I think I'd like to talk about Ghostbusters. So Ghostbusters, to me, he plays Peter Venkman. It's kind of to me a classic role, but I grew up on Ghostbusters. I don't know about everybody else, but that's kind of
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so that's who I think of when I think of Bill Murray, and this is why it has to be a pick for me. Is it's just like my default Bill Murray mode. If I'm like playing a game and I get to pick Bill Murray, it's like the Peter Venkman Bill Murray for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what does that mean? All right. So in this, in that role, let's say like we'll combine Ghostbusters 1 and 2 together. He's educated, but it's like, he's a doctor of whatever the heck, right? That it comes up constantly as a gag in the movie that he's like an uncredentialed academic.
There's a whole thing of them day drinking in public.
Yeah, right. So he's got something like that's like a core thing when I think Bill Murray for some reason. It's like this achieved individual who also is a joke to other people. Okay, and then the other thing is that he tries to be like a ladies' man in Ghostbusters, or at least like that's another gag too, right? Even like in Ghostbusters 2, where he's like taking, I guess, care of another person's kid or whatever, whatever that means for the family man side of Bill Murray. But it's just funny to see a trajectory of like Bill Murray hitting on somebody and then Bill Murray taking on like kind of a father role. And for some reason, that's also in like the video game character Bill Murray that I'm talking about. Like, he's not only the achieved but failed academic, he's also this achieved but failed lover too. Okay, and then
Okay.
and then maybe the last little bit to that is his interplay with the team. I think I missed that a lot, and maybe that's why I like Life Aquatic so much. Is that I love him in a team. Ghostbusters, of course, is like a comedy classic in terms of like a movie, and it's it's cast. Dan Aykroyd. This is basically like his baby, and it's amazing. But I miss having Bill Murray on a team. Like, I think what would have made Lost in Translation better is if the whiskey company had a team of people who are old actors, and Bill Murray was one of them. No, that's a joke. That would be a little different movie. Okay, so maybe I'll throw it back over to you guys. Does Ghostbusters mean that much to you? Do you feel the same way where like he's kind of a well-rounded Bill Murray in those movies?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. As I kind of chimed in there before, I also grew up with Ghostbusters. It's one of those movies that I don't even remember the first time I saw it. It's literally always existed in my head, But concerning Bill Murray specifically, the only thing I agree with what you said. The only thing I might add is I think there's just a slight tilt to it, because he might be seen as a joke, but I think he also kind of sees the rest of the world as the joke. Like, he doesn't take much of it too seriously. And even like in that scene you were talking about in the second one, where he's taking care of another person's kid, he takes the effort to like make fun of the child to its face, even though it's too young to understand. Like he needs to get in his punches, even if they're just little jokes, little jabs. That's how I think that's how he gets through the day a little bit. Maybe because he is a failed academic. I don't know.
All right, well, maybe that's a good segue into Kingpin, because I wanted to hear more about why you picked this one. I feel like he is like the best bowling villain ever in that movie. Like you're saying, he's not taking life seriously, of course, but also he will insult a child.
Right.
Tell me about Kingpin. What's up with that movie?
Okay, he plays Ernie McCracken in Kingpin, a world famous professional bowler, and you're absolutely right. He's an utter villain. He's just the most selfish, egotistical, amoral, possibly a sexual assaulter, but in a comedic way. He's just a terrible, terrible person in every conceivable way. But the whole movie, he's like kind of very bright and happy, and he always seems in a good mood. And despite his terrible nature, you kind of love him every second he's on screen.
All right, can I take that sexual assault accusation and say I think it was with a rubber hand, so it's fine?
I don't know, man. That scene for his what is it, like he's helping single mothers.
That's right. Yeah, I forget Big Earn is helping single mothers get out of their economic situations by sleeping with them, I think.
Well, that's not in the commercial, but it's certainly implied.
Yeah. Okay. So Kingpin is one of my favorite, definitely Farrelly Brothers movie, but also just kind of like a movie, a guilty pleasure or whatever. Like, I can put on Kingpin any time of the day. Love it. So his villainy is so perfect. I think like in the beginning of the movie, he asks a waitress to go and wash off her perfume before she comes back to serve him again. because it's so
Oh yeah,
terrible.
that's definitely a pretty real life meme. Like, yeah.
Oh man, it's just like the little jabs, the little digs throughout the whole thing, to the point where like Woody Harrelson, for those that love that movie, and I'm sure you can get into it more and more, but for those that love his arc in the movie, and especially with Randy Quaid's, I think innocence and all that kind of stuff coming into play in the finale, I think you realize that where he's like the Big Earn, Bill Murray is like the winner of that movie, right? Like he's the guy who's made it or something. And he's just
Right,
gonna like
right.
kick dirt in your face the whole time, right? And then at the very end, or the last scenes at least you see with Bill Murray, it's one of the most like, I get really jazzed about this part. They actually have a bowling finale to Electric Light Orchestra's song called Showdown, which was a big inspiration for this podcast. Big inspiration is Showdown by Electric Light Orchestra. Anyway, like that whole part, Bill Murray's comb over is like peeling up. You can see like he's really bald underneath. He's got his belly out with his back brace on. Oh, everything about that. All right, I switched my picks. Kingpin is the best movie.
Oh,
You
wow.
can't do that.
Yeah, Kingpin also has. All right, this is a sidetrack into the movie. I think Goldfinger, not Goldfinger. What band am I thinking of? The ska band. It's a song, Superman, or was that Real Big Fish?
Oh no.
Oh yeah, Goldfinger.
Doing
You're right.
everything I can.
Superman.
I know what you're talking about.
Song by
Yeah.
Goldfinger.
All right, so watch Kingpin. If you haven't seen Kingpin, watch that stupid movie. It's so stupid, funny, rude, mean.
Revel in the stupid. You got to.
It's great. It's got ska in it. Okay.
I think it's got that lady who was in the Conjuring universe later. Isn't that her?
Yes, that's right. She's super creepy. She does that cunnilingus finger tongue thing. All right. Okay, so for the sake of time, I think, Bennett, you and I need to come to some reckoning with each other about, I think, your last pick, and then one of my kind of, I don't want to see it go away picks. It's the Wes Anderson version of Bill Murray. So Life Aquatic for me, Rushmore for you.
Well, okay. Are we trying to come to a consensus, or am I speaking my argument?
Maybe after you speak your argument, I'll completely disagree with you. Okay.
Oh, well, okay. I have a little caveat to it, because I actually struggled, because the dude is in so many Wes Anderson movies. And there are Wes Anderson movies I like more as a movie, but feature far less of him. So I had to weigh it.
I know. This goes back to the Jim Jarmusch thing. Like, how? Like, are we just gonna pick every, like, Broken Flowers is the longest, most boring movie I've ever seen in my life, but it's Bill Murray and it's Jim Jarmusch.
Oh, but yeah. So anyway, my further point was I struggled, and I almost picked Life Aquatic. But the only reason, I think, just because it does definitely have more Bill Murray in it. But the reason I went with Rushmore was just, it was personal. Like, when I saw Rushmore, and, it was my first Wes Anderson movie, I didn't see Bottle Rocket until after. It just, it's like the first time seeing everything, it's going to hit you harder. And he's like oddly kind of similar to Lost in Translation. He seems kind of like, over middle age, bad marriage, doesn't know what to do, very discontent. But I think he's fantastic in it.
Yeah, I think the famous Rushmore scene, or at least what sticks out in my memory, was he like dives into a pool. I think.
Yeah, he has a glass of scotch in his hand and a cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah.
Jumps into the pool.
Yeah, and so I do appreciate that movie. I feel like Life Aquatic, like you're saying, he's just in it more. So that's
Yeah.
definitely my pick. Now, I don't know. This is what I meant by disagreeing with you. I don't know if it's the same character or not. It seems like Wes Anderson builds in the same capabilities of those Bill Murray characters, and maybe it's up to actual Murray to deliver or to improvise or to somehow bring that character to life. But I think probably Anderson just as a creator is like, here's kind of that character. I don't know if that's how it really works. I don't know how movies work.
And actually, now that I think about it, people love making him unhappy in marriage. I think he's still technically married in Life Aquatic. He's unhappy in Rushmore. He's unhappy in Lost in Translation. And he has to leave Gwyneth Paltrow in the middle of Royal Tenenbaums.
All right, but then why does he want to get married so bad in Groundhog Day and in Scrooged?
Well, I don't know if he wants to get married. He's just in Groundhog Day. He just finds himself wildly attractive to Andy McDowell, who isn't.
Yeah, how much of that is because he is stuck in that town on that day over and over again? That movie kind of creeps me out.
Oh yeah, there's no proof at any time that he's actually changed. Like he has one good day with Andy McDowell and the curse is lifted. Like,
yeah, I think that movie's weird. I need to move on, and it's not really that funny to me. I don't know why.
It had funny parts. Yeah, honestly, rewatching it, just a couple weeks ago, it took me probably 45 minutes to acclimatize myself to the humor. But after that, there was some funny parts.
Yeah, well, so okay, let's stop bashing Groundhog Day. Going back to the Wes Anderson, Bill Murray's, I feel like we could do an entire episode on Life Aquatic, period.
Oh, man.
I'll say that's like one of my roundabout ways, long story with different relationships I've had in my life. Central character is Steve Zissou and his leading of this expedition, which was kind of a mock of Jacques Cousteau. But that movie, you gotta watch it. You gotta go back. You got to sit through the whole damn thing one more time. Please do. And then I think hopefully what you take away, well, it's kind of funny you bring up that marriage part, right? Because that is strained with Angelica Houston, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing. I love the violence, the suspended violence, right? I love the tragedy. I love he's grappling with fatherhood later, but doing a terrible job. Willem Dafoe is awesome.
Oh man, Willem Dafoe, come on.
Misty, you love Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, I love Willem, not William. Willem.
Willem,
yeah.
Right.
Let's get that straight.
I don't remember. Is he? I wasn't able to rewatch that one. Is he German or like Swedish? What is Dafoe in that?
Yeah. I believe he's German. And then he instantly has a rivalry, right? With yeah. So okay, I just want to leave off Life Aquatic by saying I think obviously we can talk more about it. What it is to me is like a certain flavor of Bill Murray. And I'm so glad that it exists. I have a print of a portrait painting of Steve Zissou that was above my office on the wall. I've since put it in my home now that I'm in a career transition. I'm not going to say unemployed. Well, I guess I will be unemployed next week. Anyway, I've relocated this portrait somewhere else. And it's still like a part of me, what that character means, and then also what it means to other people in my life. And it's been a feedback loop. And so I don't think I'll ever get out of Life Aquatic, just like I'll never get out of Ghostbusters.
Hear, hear. I agree.
All right. Now, my final little piece that I want to say is Scrooged. So I just want to enter this in because I feel like it's a common character. I believe it's the same character that he plays in Groundhog Day. Scrooged he's a total jerk throughout the whole thing, and then of course he goes through the Christmas Carol, visited by three ghosts stuff. He finds this redemption at the end, and I just want to say I watch it every Christmas, no matter what. Usually Christmas Eve, usually midnight after the gifts are wrapped and out and all that stuff. Stockings are stuffed. I will sit there no matter what, no matter who's with me, what's going on. It's just been something I do for years, and revisiting Scrooge like that every year. I have to say it's a very dated movie, all that kind of stuff. But the creator of it is Richard Donner. He did the Supermans, right? Lethal Weapons, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And then also Bill Murray's kind of over the top, which I heard was very strenuous in the production, that he just went above and beyond and was not really what the filmmaker thought he would get out of Bill Murray in that case. But it's got so many cameos. I love every single second of that movie. I think I could quote it line for line. And I just want to say that this is the Bill Murray trek of the Scrooge to being a good guy, having that redemption story. And that's what I watch every Christmas. That's what brings me to tears every time. And then the finale of that movie, the final speech, really does remind me what the spirit of giving is about. Misty, I know you recently rewatched that. What did you think from kind of someone who doesn't watch it every year alone by themselves crying?
Yeah, obviously it means a lot more to you than it does to me.
You're damn right.
Yeah, I was just gonna be honest. I enjoyed the movie. I watched this for the first time last week. I thought he was great in it. He was a jackass. And I loved all of the Ghost of Christmas past, present, future, and past. I totally messed that up. But
you forgot Otherworld Ghost.
Yeah, Otherworld Ghost.
Yeah, he comes from a parallel universe.
Right. But like you had mentioned before, I do love that ending, that scene. It just gets you so inspired and into the Christmas spirit. So I liked it.
Well, so is it a Christmas classic? Is it a Bill Murray classic?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Bennett?
to both.
That's correct. Yeah. In my opinion, anyway, I would say
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yes to both. Yeah.
I think it's
All
up
right.
there with Christmas Story.
Oh man. Well, I know that's going to raise some arguments, so I want to hear more about that. I want to. Hopefully, we can do an episode about the Christmas time movies or something. I'll bring my love of Scrooge back for that. Christmas Story is definitely on there, and I love to see them show down.
Okay.
So like, there are a few, I think, like where I don't know if you guys watch Die Hard, Elf. Yeah, there are so many like little pocket movies.
Christmas Vacation.
What was that, Bennett?
It's a Christmas Vacation.
Yes,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Christmas Vacation, which I do watch every year too, and it's so funny every time. All right, so do we have any final closing arguments besides? I don't think the Rotten Tomatoes list has it right. I don't think Groundhog Day needs to be on there. I don't think Jungle Book needs to be on there. I think Lost in Translation should be number 1. Life Aquatic should probably be number 2, or Ghostbusters in that spot. I think we can all get over the Scrooge / Groundhog Day Murray, or at least know that, yeah, that exists. But I think it might be similar to the Caddyshack or What About Bob, Bill Murray, in that, like, I'm glad it's there. I'm glad I could go back to it. But if I had to show one movie that showed Bill Murray's who he is. I don't think it'd be one of those. And then Lost in Translation, maybe to go back to that, any closing thoughts about what we're hoping to achieve by crowning it number one? Do we want to hear some listener feedback? Let's have a little bit more of a showdown, because I hope people disagree. I thought it was funny that we all agreed.
Yeah, pretty disappointing first episode.
Right, yeah. It was like, well, there's no showdown at all. We all love this movie.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that disagrees with us.
All right, so maybe that's it. So let us know if you disagree. We really want to hear that. I think more than anything, that Lost in Translation, maybe not that it sucks, not that it absolutely
because it
sucks,
doesn't.
But, maybe it's not your favorite thing. Maybe you think it's too much of a chick flick, like how I used to think. I'm just going to put it out there.
I disagree.
Well, it took me a long time, and
Actually,
that is not Love Actually.
No, but yeah, I would be curious to hear from the people who, man, I don't know, what would be something that's even more cartoony than Caddyshack, or the opposite direction in that one where he played, was it FDR?
Oh, yeah, and I was going to say Where the Buffalo Roam, because his Hunter Thompson is actually not bad. And so that's definitely a runner-up too.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
So let us know why Lost in Translation, forever known as the acronym LIT.
Yeah.
Within the canon of the Neverending Showdown, let us know. Misty, Bennett, I got to get back to stretching out my piriformis muscle. So I'm going to see y'all later.
All right.
Google it.
Okay.
I don't even know how to spell that.
Let's figure out all. We can do some stretches together maybe later. But for now, I got to go take my fungal supplement. I think I should stop calling it fungal supplement, because it makes it sound like it's a supplement to a fungus.
Like you have athlete's foot.
It's a supplement that is made of fungus. And then I'm going to go stretch that piriformis out.
Bye. Thanks. See you guys later.
Bye, everybody.